I guess my next question to that would be, what are the negative things that are coming out from having people have families, like in relationships? Are you saying that people are getting in relationships too soon and they're not finding the right partners, and that's an issue? Because that's not an issue with monogamy or polygamy. That's just an issue with people getting together too quickly, right? That's a neither issue. That could be a both issue, right? You could have people getting into polygamy relationships that they aren't particularly fond of, and they find it difficult to get out of, right? Like I'm talking like super hard drugs.
In terms of like openness, first, I don't think I'd be able to relay that information on Twitch regardless, right?
Well, I mean, if you go say like, you'd probably like to what drugs you've done, right? Like, do you have do you have the same open-mindedness for doing like methamphetamine that you would for like marijuana?
Playing this game, I think we were hitting in dangerous levels. At 100, it could burn itself out. Okay, good to know. Yeah, we're definitely... we're at 69 degrees. Wait, where's everybody going? Lakeside? Oh, I like to go on nice walks on the beach. Hey, yo! What's happening? What's happening, Zens? Are your yams all cooked? Right on. Well, I'm still in general, so... What an idiot.
Hey.
Hey, what's happening?
First, since Mike did not help me, how does my sound sound?
Yeah, you sound really good.
Okay, that's great.
I'd turn you down a little bit, though.
You are also incredibly loud. I know we had a little bit of a spat on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. I'm good. I don't take that shit personally.
Let me pull up your chat real quick so I can monitor what they're saying as well. So
yeah, Mike's gonna be talking mad shit for sure.
Send slander up in here.
Yeah, I don't take shit like that on Twitter personally.
Mike, you know I'm just teasing you. Don't worry. Hello. Yeah. So I heard you did a little bit of. Oh, I saw a little bit of you rewatching some of it on stream.
Yep.
So, I guess let's preface, there's a few elements to what I'm going to be talking about, right?
Sure.
When we started that conversation, it didn't start out as me defending stupid comments from Vuash, right?
Okay. Yeah, I think so.
It started out as me saying that some of Destiny's behavior has been a little bit weird, especially towards Vuash. Mm-hmm. Now, that has nothing to do with whether Vuash is good or bad. You can like make arguments around that, but I would say that some of it has just been kind of cringe.
Okay, yep, I would probably agree with that at times. Yep.
And that's where we started, and I guess like we'll see if you agree with this. I just felt that like let's say I was Vuash, right? Mm-hmm. And I made some like B-list stunlock content of just yelling at chat. The idea that Destiny would react to that, I would feel incredibly weird if that happened.
Would you though, when it's specifically something that Destiny deals with in his everyday life and has had conversations about in the past, like that polygamy style? Like, would you find it like weird then?
Yeah, I see, and you can make. There's like a few arguments on why he reacted to it, right?
Yeah.
You can say it was very big at the time. It was like big in the space. It's something that he deals with. There's a lot of reasons why he could have reacted to it, but it just feels like some of the things that Destiny does is he interacts the way that he does, not because it's something that he's using to educate his chat on, but he knows it's going to drive clicks. And that's fine.
I mean, we all do that, right? Like, arguably, I watched the video today of, like, David Packman and Destiny knowing that it would hopefully drive clicks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But where I get my feeling from is it feels like Destiny ends up farming Vosh a little bit in a weird way, and I can imagine why. Not saying that either side is good or bad, but I can understand why Vosh feels the way that he does.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we started from this. So I want to like preface this that we have no disagreement there. Or do you have any disagreement?
No, I don't think so. And like I said, it doesn't surprise me that he would farm content from Vuash, right? Like, yeah, for sure, there's going to be probably a little animosity. The way things have gone, like he's probably going to be a little bit harsher on him when it comes to like things he says. Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, and like I would continue that. Like, just the reason that I even responded to you is because I exist on a entirely too Destiny friendly space of Twitter. And I've talked about this with you, where I feel like, and I have my worthwhile criticisms of Vosh that I feel like Destiny never brings up, and things that I think that are more valid than what he ends up bringing up. But I feel like a lot of the the attack of Vosh just seems to be because Destiny doesn't like him, as opposed to valid arguments. And that's kind of what I was like, no, not CC2.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say, I don't think I was doing that. I actually think I had like actual criticisms about what Vosh was saying about the polygamy stuff.
Well, did we even get like that's not where the conversation started originally, right? It started off of like a retweet of what Destiny said, right?
I think
Nothing
so.
to do with the polygamy.
Yes. I actually don't remember how it started. I'll have to go back.
Yeah, it kind of jumped in because I was using that as an example, and then you were like, well, don't you think that's kind of weird, though? And we got into it from there.
Come on.
But, like...
Oh, yeah, it was that Destiny, the content he does, reflects his, like, mental state and emotional well-being of that day, and I said, yeah, that's probably true for all of us, right? Like, depending on how I'm feeling, what I've seen, what I want to do, like, of course that's going to affect my content, and that's kind of true. That's true for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, to explain to my chat, which is now curious, we are not, I don't think either of us are anti-polygamy here, right? Or anti-polyamory.
No, I'm just pro-happy relationships, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to clarify to my chat, we are not attacking you in any capacity. So, I guess we can move on to the section where I think there are aspects of what Vosh said that are things that I would defend, and there are aspects of them that I wouldn't defend, right? So, I guess let's start with what is your big disagreement with his statement, and I'll see where I agree and where I disagree.
I think it's just more weird that you would bring, like, being or insecure about things like to a relationship, when it seems like even himself, when he says like, well, we all have these things, we all engage in like these styles of different styles of relationships, it seems like insecurity isn't tailored to just one style of relationship, whether it be monogamous or like poly or like even friendships to some degree. It just seems to be relationships in general. So it seems like a mute point to bring up monogamy specifically, when it even he kind of seems to argue that it's all relationships in general. So,
well, like I guess let's break down like the area of whether it's insecurity or not. Now, I'll start with this, that I think that there can absolutely be. I think number one, Vosh saying that it is all relationships is incorrect, right?
Oh, I think insecurities exist in every relationship. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think him saying that was incorrect.
Really?
I think that there are, well, saying that all monogamy is based on insecurity. I think specifically focusing on like all of them, because I think that there are like some situations which are clearly like can be non-monogamous that are like clearly fine, and like they're clearly based on both people truly wanting that scenario, right?
So why even bring it up at all then? Why not just make it? Why not just make it about all relationships?
The reason, like, and I think, like, let me try and rephrase Vosh's argument in a way that I think would actually work. Right?
Okay.
I think that every person should experiment to the degree that they're comfortable with.
Okay.
And if you've never tried if you've never been open to, or if you've never tried any kind of alternative relationship outside of monogamy, you should be open to it.
Have you ever
And
tried?
at least,
Sorry.
and if you don't like it, that's fine. But if you do like it, that's great.
Does this only apply to relationships?
Like where else? What do you mean?
Well, does this kind of like open-mindedness only apply to like relationships, or would you say this for like other aspects of life?
Oh, sure. I mean, like, what's an example of something? That
Have you ever done hard drugs? Like I'm talking
think,
like super hard drugs.
In terms of like openness, well, first, I don't think I'd be able to relay that information on Twitch, regardless, right?
Well, I mean, if you go say like, you'd probably like to what drugs you've done, right? Like, do you have the same do you have the same open-mindedness for doing like methamphetamine that you would for like marijuana?
No, probably, but I think that's because there's a health aspect related to that.
Okay.
You know? I think that you can, like, of course, incorporate your own health when it comes into making decisions. You know, you need to be comfortable with it.
Yeah, but you can
And
still be
that's
open.
like a really important part of it.
Well, yeah, exactly, right. But I would never say that insecurity was playing into you not trying meth, right, or not trying like harder drugs, right?
Well, you would say that there's fear involved with that, right?
Maybe to some degree, yeah.
Like, the reason that I do not do drugs, or like those, I do not do meth, whatever Destiny did in wherever he was chilling, was not because I am like completely like fine with them. It's because, hey, I don't want to endanger my body.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a valid fear to have.
Could I use that fear for the same thing that the same kind of deal when it comes to like polygamy things? I don't really feel like doing that because I worry that it might endanger relationships if my partner's not on the same line that I am, even though it's not an insecurity.
Well, here's what I would say. If you have an existing relationship like yourself, like you're kind of a weird example with this because you've kind of settled, you're pretty happy, right?
Oh yeah, I'm extremely happy.
So along those lines, this advice would like mainly apply to people who are in like truly established relationships like you're in, you know?
Yeah.
So like it's very clear. I mean, you put it in legal writing that I believe you have, that you and your partner are very happy with each other and you don't want to be with anyone else, right? What I would say is if you're not in that scenario, it should be something that you're open to. And that if someone, not that you have to seek it out, but if if someone comes to you and you are attracted to them and they say that, hey, sure, we can date. I am polyamorous, though. Are you okay with that? And you have the rejection to that. You're fine to reject it, but have it be have a valid reason for doing so.
Well, I mean, why should you be open to it in the first place?
You never know what you'll like, you know?
Well, I mean, sure, but what benefit are you getting out of it? Like, do you think that most people's relationships is like hinging on the fact that they're not polyamorous?
I have no idea what you could get out of it. I know that well, like, let me clarify because I'm not in.
That's why I stopped myself. Yeah, go ahead.
Like, I know personally, being open up to polyamorous relationships has probably made like me a little bit more of a freer person. It has been something that you're open to. It might be a great experience. If it's an experience you don't like, you can just move on and not do it. You can cut it off. But I would say that unless you like have the awareness that it's something that you don't like, because it's kind of hard to determine because a lot of people don't know what it's like, that just being open to the experience, just as I think that people should be open to being bisexual or whatever, or being pansexual, whatever sexuality that you have, that it's something that you should be open to and that you should at least experiment with it to find out that you're sure in what you believe.
Do you think people get to choose like their like the relationship styles that they like?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, like, what do you mean?
Do you think that people get to choose like bisexuality or pansexuality?
It's not like a decision thing. It's like you don't know, and a lot of people like don't know until they experience it. That was like with me. I didn't know that I was or pansexual.
Sure, but you
Until
might
I
have like
explored a little
inklings.
bit.
You look at like people of the same sex, or like it doesn't matter who you look at, you find them sexually attracted, right? Like there's still inklings there.
Not especially. I thought I was straight for a while.
Okay, but there was like something that made you question that, right?
Yeah, a close
Okay,
relationship.
that's what I'm talking about. Do you think that like that same thing exists for people's relationships? That there's like they feel an intrinsic pull in that same way?
Like, what do you mean? Can you describe that intrinsic pull?
Yeah, this is a line of questioning that I don't think is going to really go where I want to go.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to think of a way to put this in better terms. I understand what you're saying. Like you should be open to new experiences. Like to close yourself off necessarily leaves you kind of closed off. But I guess my question is like why. I guess the reason why I asked like why, what do you gain out of it? What's the benefit? Is let's say you take a couple, they're not really sure. They probably could work it out. They could like get through their issues when their issue is not like they think that their issue is that they don't have more people in their relationship. Let's say they do that and it ends up destroying the relationship, where if they would have dealt with the other like actual issues in their relationship, they could have saved it. Why is going to the polygamy the way to go and not dealing with the other issues that might be in their relationship?
Well, this isn't a prescription to fix a relationship, right? This is a prescription for a person, like a personal person. Oh, person doesn't make any sense. Let's say, like, if you never know that it's something that you like, but you've always had inklings for it.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily what you think is going to fix your relationship, because I'm not saying like you should do this to like fix your relationship. Like, I don't know if that's like good advice, but
I would
it
argue
might make you happier.
I would argue that's what you're saying when you're saying you're in a certain relationship due to insecurities. That if you fix those insecurities, this next relationship step is going to come.
Well, no, like, let me explain where I think that insecurity kind of lies. Right?
Okay.
When you look at a polygamous relationship, there can be people who are very secure in their relationship, that they both know that they and their partner are very happy being monogamous.
Okay.
And they enjoy being that way with each other.
Okay.
But what do you think is the best way to determine that?
Probably communicate with your partner and probably test the waters.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you think that testing of the waters involves?
It probably actually engaging in it, yeah.
So like, like for example, I'm not advocating for like everyone should go like have sex with someone else.
But how is that? Hang on. How's that coming? Hang on. I don't understand how that's coming from insecurity though.
Like sure. Would you? Okay, so let's take.
I don't get what insecurity is being fixed or like rectified by, or whatever like relationship thing is being fixed or rectified by doing a poly relationship. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Because like in Vuash's claim, he is very clear that monogamy is kind of born out of an insecurity.
So that's where I think where I'm going to claim Vuash got hyperbolic, because I think he got stupider the more that he talked about this topic, right?
Okay, we can agree there.
I think he started out with a position that could be defendable, and then as Vuash kind of does, the more that people challenge him, he gets more hyperbolic and more wrong as he goes, right?
Okay, and that's...
We've all seen the clip of where he admits to believing that all relationships are power from Rem, right?
Okay, and I would argue that then this is one of our biggest contentions when we get into this. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's hyperbolic. I think that's an ill thought out position. He already had a conclusion. He got pushback and then realized, oh fuck, my position doesn't make sense. Now I have to try and change it in real time in front of chat while I'm receiving this pushback.
Well, do you think that he tried to change it in real time, or he just got worse on his position?
Well, if your position's well thought out, you should be able to explain it. It should always be consistent. You shouldn't be changing things as you go, right?
Well, I know from like debating, and Vuash is like way more experienced at debating than that. You're not having every aspect of your logical breakdown in your mind at all times. And it can be pretty easy to slip on that. And like for example, if I'm debating someone and they keep hammering in on the same point like 4 times, there's a chance that I might give a different answer because I'm not going back to the same answer because I'm like, oh, I already said that. Let me say something else just to like, because it's clearly not what they wanted. And it's a way that you can like maneuver down wrong paths. Not saying that that's what necessarily happened, but I could say that what I'm interested in defending is Vosh's kind of like original sentiment, not as opposed to when he was saying that all relationships like based on monogamy are like you are insecure for doing so, because I think that there are some valid reasons to be monogamous.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. You can do that because I have one more question. If you think like that, there's any ever times that like somebody being in a poly relationship is due to insecurities as well.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, like, do you want to? I think that I think any relationship can be based on insecurity.
Okay, so that so that question right there. Why specifically then bring up monogamy when in relation to this, right? Because it sounded very much that like if you fix the insecurities, right, you would fix and people would become more poly, and that would fix a lot of like kind of people's relationship issues.
Well, let's imagine. Okay, so would you say that there are a lot of coercive social standards around being monogamous right now?
What do you mean by that?
Stuff like families influencing you to get married, have the children. Stuff like having the hard, rigid form of the nuclear family. Stuff like marriage, like having to be between two people.
I think depending on what
any alternative form of monogamy besides asexuality is treated as a kink as opposed to a valid relationship.
Maybe depending on the culture, sure, to some degree, but I would also argue that like when we look at like marriage rates, like them not being, I don't think they're as high as they have been. I'd have to look again. Mm-hmm. But you've seen like a rise in like common law arrangements. So I don't know if
absolutely.
Yeah, so it might be that it's changing, right? But yeah, sure, to some degree. Yeah, sure. Depending on the culture, there might be more pressure than others. Sure, yeah.
So, and I would personally be interested in, to some degree, getting rid of that those cultural pushes, which I think can be really negative. So let's say that, and this is where I think Vuash gets negative when he says all, where there could be a lot of people that are pushed into the relationship that they're in because of social standards as opposed to their actual reasons. And I think that's kind of sad.
Well, hang on. Could they be pushed into a relationship with a person they might not want, but in a style they do want?
Sure.
Okay. So, I guess my next question to that would be, what are the negative things that are coming out from having people have families, like in relationships? Are you saying that people are getting in relationships too soon and they're not finding the right partners, and that's an issue? Because that's not an issue with monogamy or polygamy. Mm-hmm. That's just with an issue with people getting together too quickly, right? That's a neither issue. That could be a both issue, right? You could have people getting into polygamy relationships that they aren't particularly fond of, and they find it difficult to get out of, right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna use the old D-man as an example, and I'm so sorry for this, but he is definitely in a relationship, whether it's active or not, with somebody that he actively does not want to be in because of that, right? I don't want to bring it up, but I think it is a perfect example of how you can have people in relationships in a poly.
I might not be fully aware of the. You're applying to Destiny, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I might not be fully aware of the situation. Could you elaborate a little bit more?
I don't want to, because of the speaking the person's name will it's like Beetlejuice. I'm afraid if I say their name too many times. But if you followed it all, I'll just say it's Anna. That's it. Okay. If you follow that situation at all, that's a polygamy gone wrong, right? Yeah. So I just want to point out that that's not being in a relationship that you don't want to be in is not just a polygamy or a monogamy thing. That is just that's a situation that happens.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
Okay.
I think my position should be, I think this is valid, that people should be monogamous because they reject polygamy as opposed to it being the assumed default.
Okay. What's wrong with assuming it's the default?
Oh, well, we've kind of talked about it, that currently there are a lot of social standards that push it to be the default. If we mean the default, I more mean that, it's an option, mm-hmm. that whenever you're going into a relationship, just as you could be dating someone who's bisexual, dating someone who's trans. You could be dating someone who is poly.
Okay, but what's wrong with the default, right? It's not like it can't just be that it's wrong that it's the default, right? You have to give a reason why that's the default, or like why that's like culturally pushed upon is a bad thing.
Oh, I think that a lot of people don't fully realize what they might enjoy. I think like it's kind of that revolves around my reason earlier. I think a lot of people don't get to know the experiences that they might enjoy more than what they enjoy now.
Okay, but is that wrong? Because I could argue that there's a lot of experiences on meth that people don't know about that they could enjoy if they just like were more open-minded to taking meth, right? Like
I already elaborated that that's not really a good example.
I know, but you have to get like there has to be a reason why it's better to engage in A instead of B, right?
Yeah. Do you think that engaging in meth is the same as or equivalent to trying out a poly relationship?
No, I don't. But like arguably there's benefits to it, right? Like whether you want to, there's also there's more downsides than there is benefits, right? But the issue is what benefit are you getting by saying it should be this instead of this? Is it just that you get to try new experiences?
Because I think that the downsides that a potential polygamous relationship would bring would outweigh the benefits of, number one, figuring out whether it's something that you would enjoy. Number two, confirming that it's something that you don't enjoy so you can be secure in your decisions. And beyond that, just having like full awareness of what you believe, how you align, and you know that you didn't ever miss an opportunity.
So in other words, like we just get people being more true to themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure, I could probably agree with that. Yeah. But like, but society, like other than that, societal wise, do we get it? Like, is it like better family? Is it better? Like, what other things are we made? If it's not like, because we could still have that world where people are true to themselves and monogamy still be the default.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Okay.
So when I say assume, like for example, heterosexuality is the default, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I was more getting to is now that we're moving towards there. We're in a world where being monogamous is assumed, and like you have to stay in the closet. Like you have to stay in the closet, otherwise your family might hate you if you join if you want to like be in a polygamous relationship. There could have like negative social standards. There's a lot of things you don't get. It's hard to get taxed for, as far as I understand.
To be fair, society has primarily always been monogamous. It was usually like the kings and queens or people of status that had like polyamorous relationships or like concubines and shit like that.
It's absolutely true.
Okay, so it's not moving. It's always been there.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's fine. Like if let's say that 95% of people decide to be monogamous, I think that's great. I'm happy that they made their decision, knowing that they preferred monogamy as opposed to polyamory.
Okay, then there's nothing wrong with monogamy being the default then.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I was under the understanding there was an issue with that. That's my bad. That must have been my misunderstanding.
There's connotations with it being the default where, like, let's say you can assume it to be the majority, but like I don't want someone to be shocked if they ask someone out and they say, "Hey, I'm any form of poly," right? I want them to be completely accepting and like, okay, that might just not be what I appreciate, but we're good, as opposed to like mad or any kind of negative emotion or reaction to that, as there could be now.
Really? There are people that hard? Like, do you have like?
You don't think that there are people that like slut shame people?
Okay, but but to be fair, those people are always going to exist. Even if you remove most of the stigma for that, you're still going to have hardcore Puritans, right? I understand it's still like a big thing, right? There's still a lot of issues with like women being considered sluts and like men not when they have like a ton of partners. But realistically, also in a world where you have like 95% monogamous and 5%. Polyamorous, people are still going to be shocked to run into people because that's still like a very small percentage of people, right?
Well, first let me clarify.
Yep.
Brizzle, I'm not okay with lying. You should be open with your partners. That's not what I'm advocating for. But okay, what I would say is would you find it uncommon to find someone with red hair?
Uncommon. Probably not.
So, in that situation, there are less people with red hair than people that would be polyamorous.
Wait, what percentage of the population has red hair?
2%.
2%? Okay.
So, using
But to be fair, I mean, I can see red hair with my eyes.
yeah,
That coming up in conversation is a little bit different, right? That's why I said that's not a conversation that everybody's gonna have. It's not like everybody's gonna be like, oh, fucking poly based, right? Like that's why probably the 2% of the red hair is like very visual, and we can see that and we can acknowledge that. Oh, it seems like we see it a lot. Whereas like the poly thing would still be super shocking, right? Because that has to come up in conversation for you to know that that person is that thing.
so let me kind of let me try to apply this to an example that we kind of talk about today, right?
Sure.
I am absolute. Let's talk about like people that are not okay with dating trans people, right?
Oh, do we have to? Can we? Because I swear to God, every conversation automatically defaults to fucking trans issues or people. That's why I was like, when I heard the line of questioning, I shut it down right away, and I feel like I need to shut this one down right away because it's gonna. Can you give a better example? Because it's just gonna pull us down a rabbit hole.
I think it's a good example because what we're dealing with right now. Let's say aversion to mixed couple relationships.
Before we do it, can
Or
I
mixed race
just
couple
make my?
No, I'm
my,
changing the example.
oh, okay, I was gonna say because I just want to make my one contention with this issue. Okay.
I'm changing it to mixed race couples.
Okay.
So, let's say that you're interested in dating people. It's almost like a harder example, but you have an aversion to dating people outside of your race.
Okay.
There can be valid reasons to that, and there can also simultaneously be invalid reasons to that. Would you agree with that?
Just based on race?
Mm-hmm.
Not really.
So you don't think that people might not, like, let's say I am kind of white, but let's say I'm white and I don't want to date black women because I think that all black people are criminals and that they're 1350 and all that stuff. Do you think that's an invalid reason to not want to date them?
Yes.
So if you can agree that there is an invalid reason to that, do you think that that person should change their mind? And if that's their sole reason for doing it, they should be open to dating black women?
They should probably
Yeah.
introspect, yeah, because that's an
Exactly.
intrinsic quality in somebody that they can't change, and you're literally missing out on a whole other human being based on an intrinsic quality that somebody can't change.
Yeah.
But this was going to be my issue with like the example of you trying to like, because I know you're going to try to like, well, you know what? No, I don't. I'm not gonna play. Go ahead, finish it off.
I mean, I think it's somewhat applicable that like let's say do you think that you can I don't know like where the left kind of stands on this. I don't know if like polygamy is something considered that you can change. But I guess it is. I mean that might
well
be
if it's not something that you can't change, like that is just something you're intrinsically like the same way that you're bi or whatever, that it can't be based off insecurities and it's based off something more. And so then bringing up the idea of insecurities is like way worse.
Would you say that the previous example of not, well, I guess you could say misinformation, but would you say that there might be some form of insecurity based in the race argument?
That particular one?
Mm-hmm.
No. I would argue that you could probably make a fear argument at best, but even that one's pretty shoddy.
Well, like when we kind of like look at these things, I completely understand that. I do think that there's a difference of separation. I was just curious where you landed on that. When you kind of look at these situations, I legitimately think the solution to that scenario is for that person, even if they're like terribly racist, to try, see if they like it, see if they get to know the person, see if they get better, or like not get better, but they have a different association of them than off of their first impression, and they might really like it. and that they should be open to that experience. And I would apply that same logic to polygamous or monogamous relationships.
Okay. But I would argue that the other, like the race one, is because it's of an invalid reason, right? Whereas like somebody being like, I don't want to try that because I enjoy having a relationship partner that I can experience things solely with, is valid, right?
Well, that's great, but I don't. Do you think that everyone has? Because that's your experience, and that's where I disagree.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm not advocating for either or relationship. I'm advocating for happy relationships, right? But Vuash wasn't doing that. I'm sorry. The implication of what he was saying is that he was very much advocating that one is better than the other because one is riddled with insecurities.
So that's where. Let's get into the difficulty where I really don't like the word insecurity. I think it's a really bad word to use.
And to be fair, in that clip that you said that I should watch on the Burned Out, he doubles down on the word insecurity.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, okay.
But the reason I think insecurity is a good word is because it comes with a context that I'm not necessarily think he was interested in portraying. If we watch the original video, not the one with that one, where he says that no, I'm not against monogamous relationships, and I am also not against monogamous relationships. He doesn't say that they are invalid or any form, and I think it comes across that way because of his poor phrasing.
Well, but you're unfortunately de facto saying it when you're saying one is riddled with insecurities, right?
Well, I think there's a little bit difference between saying the relationship is riddled with insecurities. I guess there's like a major difference, and saying that like the reason that you're in that relationship and you might be in another relationship is from an insecurity. Would you agree with that?
You can't say it one more time.
There's a difference between saying that you personally have an insecurity, and that's why that might contribute to why you're in the relationship that you are, as opposed to another one, and saying that your relationship is doomed to fail because it's riddled with the insecurity of monogamy.
Because it's riddled with the insecurity of monogamy. I mean, yes, there's meaningful differences, but that I don't think that's what he was saying. He definitely wasn't saying that. He definitely wasn't saying that. It was that monogamy exists because of insecurities.
Well, if we get into, because remember what his exact arguments. Well, I don't remember exactly what his arguments were, but he did constantly say, and like it's fine if you don't take him at his word here, because I do think the loaded language does counteract what he was saying, and if that's your argument, I completely could agree with you that he is absolutely fine with people entering monogamous relationships because it purely makes them as happy as they could be.
Sure, but that's fine. I would agree with that. But he's saying that relationship is lesser because those insecurities exist.
He never says that those
no, but that is
does
deeply.
Does he ever
what
say that they're lesser?
No, but he deeply implies it. Why would you say that one has an insecurity? If I was to say that my car is inferior to your car, if I don't come out and explicitly say that my car is better than your car, can you still infer that I am saying my car is better than your car by saying yours is inferior to mine?
Well, I don't think you could argue that insecure automatically means worse.
If I have
you would argue, right?
Well, that's what my argument. If I say I have my car does not have this flaw that yours has, what am I implicitly saying?
Well, the argument that Vuash makes, and I think he made it in the video that you watched, is he said that it's not necessarily bad to be insecure or uncertain and anxious. Those feelings can be really valid.
Okay, but those aren't insecurity.
Oh, well, I have the definition right here. Not confident, assured, uncertain, or anxious. Those are the exact words that I used.
Can you be anxious about something without being insecure about it? Actually, I don't even know.
Yeah, you could potentially bring up an example. I'd love to see one. That's a lot of thinking that I have to do, you know?
I guess you could be insecure about a conclusion that you might have because you're anxious about it. Okay.
So I would absolutely agree with you that insecure is a loaded word where you can assume that it is bad, right? If you say something is insecure, that is bad, and that is incorrect rhetoric from Vuash, that he should have been more precise with his language. But if we ignore the whatever you call it, the stigma of saying something is insecure, he could argue that some monogamy, I don't think all monogamy, but some monogamy might be based on uncertain feelings.
Sure, and once again, like polyamory could be the exact same. So it's not.
Yeah.
But it's not to both. So why even bring it up for one?
Because, as we were talking about, because monogamy is the assumed default, people are refrained from moving into potentially, where they might be more happy, polygamous relationships.
Okay, but why not come up with an argument that favors why people should be joining like polygamy relationships instead of like trying to like unfairly demonize like monogamy relationships?
I don't think he was like, he expressed that he was trying not to. I think he failed at it, but he expressed that he was trying not to demonize monogamous relationships.
Okay, I mean that's just kind of what happens though, right? Like
Yeah.
But okay, so here's the thing: if you remove that insecurity, do you think most people would go to polygamous relationships?
I think a portion of people would. Not all.
Okay, not all.
Well,
not
here's
all.
the problem.
What do you think
because
most people?
It's number
Like
one.
fif-
This is like an opinion based on like my assumption.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think that a lot of people might be, at the very least, might not. Everyone might not become polyamorous. Everyone might try and have a polyamorous experience. Everyone might see if they like it and they might reject it. There might be, even though like 5% might identify as polyamorous, a portion of them, a large portion of them, would at least quote unquote experiment in college.
Okay.
And do that kind of stuff, which I think might be discouraged by the way that our society is currently built.
Okay.
And also, Kazakh, yeah, I don't like when Vuash used the naturalistic argument. I thought that was dumb.
Hey, don't talk to chat. You're chatting. You're talking with me. Okay. Don't do that, okay? I haven't done that entire conversation. That was incredibly rude to do that to me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's one rule I have on this channel. If I'm talking with somebody, I'm talking to you and you alone. Chat can eat a big fat dick. Okay, they can go to their poly relationship and eat a big old fat one. Okay.
All right.
Okay. I guess like. I guess when like I don't know, I feel like if you're gonna take one down saying that it's fueled by people's insecurities, it kind of feels like when you remove that insecurities that most people would go to that thing, implying that the better of the two relationships, if you removed that negative, whether it's a social stigma or an insecurity, that the polyamory is the default better position for people to be in.
You could assume that. I'm not sure. Like, Vuash did say that he was trying not to. I think he failed to, but he was trying not to discourage monogamous relationships.
But it's not that you're discouraging, right? Because I was very specific not to use that word. That you're saying that the polyamory, right, is the default one if you were to remove that stigma from society, indicating that it is the better because it does not have that insecurity attached to it.
You could potentially make that assumption. The problem that I have with that is just I can't put words in what Vuash means. I mean, in Vosh's mouth. I can't speak for him. It could be that he believes that. I just don't have the data for that.
Well, that's fine. I wouldn't expect you to say what he believes, but do you realize that is the implication of what you're saying?
Well, and implication is one thing. He never like truly clarified, and at least I didn't see it, whether he said that he thought that most people would enter polygamous relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I wouldn't necessarily make that assumption, saying that people, if it's based on an insecure feeling, that people he doesn't like. This is where I disagree with Vuash, right? Where he says like all monogamy is based on insecurity, and where I disagree with him is that I think that there are relationships that can be very healthy. There are negative and positive relationships that can be built that would not be built on insecurity. For example, one that is like I don't think could be built on insecurity is a relationship where you just don't care about your partner because you don't care. You have like if they do whatever they want, you like have no feelings for that. Another one can be where you work it out with your partner, and it's very clear with both of you that you enjoy being with each other more than anyone else.
Okay, so do you understand now that we've gone, well, Vosh didn't think this out, this isn't correct, I don't think he said this right. Do you see now why I kind of classified this as more of a ill thought out idea than it was like a miscommunication on his part?
Yeah, I mean, potentially.
Okay, cool. That's all. Then yeah, that's all I care about. I just wanted you to see like from that point of view, because
I think like the problem with defending other people is they're not me. You know, I've spent too much time defending other people's statements. So like what I try and do in these situations is I like to take on people's arguments as if they're my own. You know, I think that's the best way to do it. As opposed, like if I said this, and what I would apologize on, what I wouldn't apologize for, and what I would like phrase my argument as.
Yeah,
so that's all I can really do.
Yeah, of course. I don't expect you to be able to actively articulate what's in Vosh's brain. That'd be absolutely insane of me.
And if Vosh comes out with another banger vid where he says that everyone should be some form of poly, I will completely walk back my statements.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shit. You got like probably 15 more minutes. Is there anything else you want to bring up? I got a little bit more time to chat. You can pick my brain, or you can throw a couple more of your arguments my way, and we can hash a little bit out. So,
well,
yeah, go ahead.
Let me quickly turn you into an anarcho-communist.
Nice.
I'm just joking. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. We're just playing some Siege. Poor Pars is getting the short end of the stick here. I'm sucking for him, so poor Pars.
Sorry I took a little bit.
Don't worry about it.
Two things came up. I was I'm preparing for Thanksgiving dinner, which I'm very excited for.
Nice.
And secondly, I am out of town right now, and I have two poor geckos at home, and one came down with a sickness.
Oh no.
Well, one came down with a stuck shed, so I had to have the person that was taking care of it take them to the doctor.
Oh
and
no.
It seems like everything's good now.
Oh, that's good.
So that ended up delaying me, and we ended up everything seems pretty good now.
Oh shit. Well, hopefully your little gecko gets better. I know I used to work at a pet store way back in the day, and yeah, I know we've dealt with some of the shedding issues. That can be that can be a big pain in the ass.
Oh, what did you run? What did you run?
It was just yeah, it was just like a little pet store. We'd had like, it was just in one of the towns I worked, we had a couple of little pets, couple of lizards, reptiles. Oh shit! Oh no! Oh, eat it! Yes. Oh no! Yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. The reptiles were a lot of fun. So, I'd totally do it again. What kind of geckos are they? Are they leopard geckos or?
Yeah, 2 leopard geckos.
Nice. Yeah, those are super popular. They're good. They're good little creatures. Very. They're nocturnal, right? They're all fucking nighttime.
They usually are.
Yeah.
Mine have like adjusted to a weird schedule because I also have cats.
Oh, okay.
And my cats like watch them at night.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and the gecko's like, fuck this. I'm coming out during the day when those things are fucking gone.
Though it's also funny because the cats have, on one hand, gotten way more okay with the cats, and the cats have like started completely ignoring the geckos as time has gone on.
Well, yeah,
so it's just funny.
They don't get to play with them with their paws. They're like, shit, that's not food and that's not a plaything. There's nothing I want about that thing.
So, and I've been looking into, because I ran into this problem. I don't know if you know anything about it. I'm thinking about getting I think it's called I just was looking it up on Amazon. Some form of a humidifier. It's called a fogger.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to find a good, because I do it manually.
Yep.
But like the problem is like it's difficult to find a good one because you can't have it. They're desert animals.
Yep.
You can't have it too humid. But it would be nice if it could be something that was like taken care of, where even if I am out, and they get like some kind of a stuck shed, it should be able to take care of itself. And do you know anything about that?
Man, I don't know much about that. Like, it's been years since I worked there, but I know like a lot of the shit, what's the name of this stuff? It's like Tex Aquarium or something like that. You would probably have something like that. There must be a specialty shop near where you live. I mean, the reptiles, as oddball as they are, the places that do look after them are very well educated in it. So
there are. I actually I've talked about this a little bit with chat. I used to be very big into. I actually talked with Mike as well.
Yeah.
I used to be very big into fish keeping, and
Oh.
they're kind of a descendant of my time fish keeping. They're like the ones that I ended up keeping.
Oh, okay.
And even though they're not fish, obviously.
Yeah.
And I used to work in a store. I worked with a breeder.
Oh, okay.
Turned into a very negative experience for me in the end.
Yeah.
And it has led to me kind of been weird returning to those stores and kind of stuff.
That's
so fair. I have a good amount of knowledge for my time. I ran a pet keeping community.
Oh, okay.
I worked very hard at a store that went out of business before COVID happened.
Yeah.
And I forgot most of it as soon as I got out of the space as hard as I could.
Yep.
But it's coming back a little bit.
Slowly over time.
Yeah. And I've been working on, because I worry about, as any pet keeper does, that I'm not treating them as well as I could be. And that's the constant thought that you have.
Oh, absolutely. But you know what that shows is, like, you are a good pet owner. One of the most frustrating things, and I do remember this, is you would get people that would come in to, like, buy, like, a bearded dragon or, like, a leopard gecko or something. And these were people that had never owned a lizard, didn't have, like, any no time owning like complicated things like fish or, you know, nothing like that. And they'd be like, okay, I want to buy this leopard gecko. It's like, okay, well, do you have any experience? Well, no. Okay, well, like, do you have any of the things you need? Well, no, I need it all like right here and now. It's like, okay, like, how long have you been thinking about this? Oh, like a week or two. It's like, please don't buy this creature. Please, for the love of God. Like, this poor thing is going to fucking suffer and you're going to hate it in like a week or two. Please just don't buy this fucking thing. Like, go get a fucking cat that you can ignore, or like a bunny, you know, like something a lot easier. So at least you care. At least you're taking the time to try and like figure out what it needs. So
even most mammals are ridiculously hard to keep up with if you want to keep them like really well. Yeah. Like for a while, I had like a little bit of obsession with getting a hamster.
Oh yes.
And then like I realized the more and more work I had to do to take care of a hamster. A hamster on a regular basis.
Yep. Yeah, they're not
like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this.
No, they're not just as easy as like you leave it in the fucking cage and you stare at it like once a day and you're like, wow, that's a nice fucking hamster, and you just like peace out. Like they need care. You need to handle them or else they get aggressive, right? Like there's just so many. They're not a fucking cat, but I swear people like to treat them like they are. And it's actually super frustrating. I believe it's after Easter is usually when the biggest return of like rabbits and shit ends up happening. Because
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, because people will buy them as fucking gifts, realize, oh shit, this rabbit like takes a little bit of work, and then just get rid of it almost like 2 weeks after, which is like, that's super depressing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like working in the space, I got to experience, because it was a fish store specifically.
Oh, okay.
But we would have animals come in. The store owner loved the hell is the name of the steak? You know the snake with like 1,000 different patterns?
Ball python?
Ball python, thank you. He would constantly have ball pythons. He had a rabbit come through. He had like a ton of stuff just like constantly because people would like bring him stuff and it would like take it. And just like doing work on the mammals, like honestly, like when it comes down to like the difficulty of care, it's good that cats and dogs are by far the mostly kept animal.
Yep, absolutely. You ever have to look after a hedgehog?
They are illegal in my state.
Really?
So,
interesting. They are,
as far as I know.
Yeah, they are super difficult to look after too. They are very ornery. You have to. That is an animal you have to work with over and over again, even to just be able to sometimes feed, because they'll refuse to feed with you.
Yeah, trust me. It's I've worked with so many animals, and I understand where Mike comes from, because I have a long conversation with Mike, and he just has plants.
Yeah,
I understand where it comes from, even though plants are legit no joke either. But
yeah, a hamster is easier to keep than the plants. I don't know how Mike does it. He's a god. Seriously, anything I touch, it just dies.
I have I text him on like multiple occasions, one for my mic, and two because I have plant questions, and it's very useful.
Are you sure? Yeah. I mean, and Mike's the go-to person, man. Mike
has been great. I've been shocked by how many communities I pop into, and I just see Mike casually helping out.
Fucking everywhere. I don't know how he does it. I agree. I've done that a few times too. I'll pop in and I was like, what the fuck is that fucking Mike in the? Yeah.
Like I popped into Beer Bash Johnson's chat, and he was like sent out a tweet. He was like, "Thank you so much for Mike from Earth for helping me set up all my stuff." And I was like, "How did you get here?"
Jesus, man is a fucking machine. All right, Pars, that was my last round.
All right.
Sucked on that one.
I am going to. Well,
we can
talk again.
Don't forget to shut
know
yourself
that
up.
this was not the this was not the original topic that we planned to talk about next.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed this conversation. And I thought it was. I hope that I have opened you up to.
I'm actually even more closed-minded than I was ever before. You fucked up. I'm just kidding. No,
I have turned. You are now a poly supremacist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and me and the wife, like, don't get me wrong. Me and the wife have talked about it in the past, like doing probably swinger things when we're older and shit like that. Because it's what we want. Like, part of our relationship is experiencing things together, because we enjoy each other's company so much, right? And what I worry with a lot of people is a lot of people will look to the grass is greener on the other side type thing, and totally miss the actual problems that are going on in their relationships. So. While I'm with you that it's good that people are like open and more honest with themselves, I think we can do that without saying one is bred off insecurities and one is, based on this. I think it's just all we should care about at the end of the day is people are in good, healthy, happy relationships that they enjoy. And that's, I think, the biggest issue I took with like Vuash's take. So
yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Like what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
This happens a lot in like media, and I think it's like a pretty shitty way to represent poly or any kind of poly relationships. But like, for example, did you ever see Bojack Horseman?
Yeah.
So like, this is the example that always came to my mind. When the only thing that I could think of representation of poly relationships in American media was the open relationship between Mr. Peanut Butter and his fourth wife.
Oh yeah.
And how it basically just led to the end of his relationship. And it like made me think like two things. Number one, and like it kind of talks to your point, I don't think a solution to your relationship problems, if you're having relationship problems, is to make it any form of poly. I think you should look at the source of your problems. But I also think that I think the healthiest way to go into a poly relationship is entering it knowing that that's the situation and probably not changing it as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
The other element that I thought of was like, fuck, there is no representation for poly situations anywhere in media other than like love triangles. Yeah,
or like threesomes or shit. Yeah,
and it's kind of I don't know. I would be kind of fun to see some.
Yeah,
can you imagine a sitcom about a poly situation? That's like built for comedy.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm all for it. Like if that's what like the media that people want to consume, and it slowly and it makes its way into the culture. Yeah, I mean, for sure.
Okay, I'm finally done defending Vuash.
Already.
I have to swear, this is something that I do so often. Where I'm not like a huge Vuash fan. I like him a little bit more than Destiny. But I'm not like a die-hard Vuash fan. There are like public criticisms that I have very clearly of him. But I always end up defending him because it's just weird. I have to stop doing it. It's like an addiction at this point.
I feel the need. No, I swear to God, he's not this dumb about this. Please, guys, listen. He can do better. I can fix him as the meme. I can fix him, I swear.
I constantly say it about everyone. I think it's like funny that I can fix anyone. You can bring up Lauren Southern. I'm like, I'll fix her. Even though I would never make that joke about her.
It'd be better. All right, man. Well, don't forget to shout yourself out.
Yeah, I am Seine Streams. It was spelled a little bit I understand that's like difficult to spell the name. It's spelled Seine. It's French, which CC should know. But
Oui.
I am supposed to stream regularly, but I hopefully will be doing that from now on. Come follow me if you enjoy my content, and feel free to shout yourself up to my viewers.
Yeah, my name is Critical Canadian. I do politics, video reviews, gaming. We play a ton of Back for Blood because my chat is, they put up with me, and we play a little bit of Rainbow Six. And every now and then we'll throw in a game of Oblivion. So if you've got something, if you see my tweets and you disagree with me, you can just hop in general like Zen here has done, and we can definitely hash it out. It's been a good combo.
Well, hell now, partner. If you enjoyed that content, why don't you hit that like and subscribe? And don't forget to follow on Twitter.